guys, ILene Vick here for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. It is Sunday, April 6th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I am live. It is week 15 of 2025, and in my neck of the woods, it is currently 60 degrees with a high of 65 and a low of 52. Welcome to my broadcast. I am here for the next 3 hours for coloring, companionship, chat, friendship, giggles and laughs, pretty pictures, and the what, the how, and the why of adult coloring. In other words, I show you what I'm doing. I demonstrate how I'm doing that particular thing, and then I talk about the why of it. Welcome to my YouTube peeps who come in and chat with me. That is always delightful. Welcome to my YouTube peeps who'll see this broadcast after the fact when I download it into my group, Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. And welcome to my Facebook peeps who'll see this broadcast when I download it into my group. I think I said that twice, didn't I? So what I meant was, welcome to my YouTube peeps who'll see this broadcast after the fact. We'll get it straight. All right. Give me 2 seconds while I get my other monitor set up. Let's see who's popped in so far. Mamie, so glad to see you, Mamie. Thanks to Al Jolson. Maggie, happy Sunday, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to one and all. Tam Tam, hello. Miss Karen, Jonah, Miss Angie, Stephanie, all right. So I've got 2 images that I'm working on. One is our famous buddy color that I always do. This is out of Celebrating St. Patrick's Day Jubilee. Let me get that focus. Oh, that's sad. Jay North, Dennis the Menace, passed away. All right. So on this one, I popped in a couple of bows. We did our rhinestones. We did our little earring. You don't want to add too much to something, just enough to make it cute. And then this is Hello Sandy. And then this little bear, that's the one that I did with the X-Acto knife I etched into the paper, and it made it look like the fur. Very simple technique to do. It's fun. Okay, and the second image that I'm doing is Kirby Roseanne's Dark Fairy Tales. Obviously, Little Red Riding Hood. I've been working on the trees in the background, and it's starting to come together beautifully. And thank you for all the feedback on this. I know it's a dark image, but it's fun to do. This book was from Angry Bear. She donated it to the group. Hello, Jonah. Oh, I said hello to you, so you get it twice. Whee! And yesterday we had a lot of fun because I talked about the Romantic Country and the Symphony of Cute Animal books that we got from Angie. My next project after the Dark Tales will be probably out of Symphony of Cute Animals. You'll have the link for those shortly. Mamie will pop those up. And if you want, you can pick up the book. All right. So let me grab my paper towel. I always recommend that for underneath your hand when you're coloring. And we'll get my scratch pad and we will be good to go. So, first of all, are there any birthdays or anniversaries today? And how is everybody's day today? Win, lose, or draw? I will say draw for me. It's been quiet. Tammy draw. Angie draw. Mamie draw. Mamie, how are you feeling? So glad to have you back. Sandy draw. Stephanie draw. Maggie draw. Mamie a little better today. Okay. Oh, Jonah had a win. Tell. Mamie, don't overdo. Jonah, groomed my cat and played with rhinestones some more. Cool. Well, I'm glad to hear everybody's doing okay. All right. So get out your buddy color Our little girl is coming along beautifully. Oh, Angie says, changing mine to a win. I can eat again without feeling sick. Oh, that definitely is a win. Hold on, I gotta grab something here. Okay, grab your image, guys, if you're gonna color with me tonight. Let's get coloring. So I'm going to concentrate on our little bear in the left-hand corner and our rainbow. I want to go ahead and get that last bow on. How's the weather in everybody's areas? We had a lot of rain. We've been having a lot of rainstorms. Of course, parts of Tennessee hit with the tornado. Stephanie, 91. Okay, I'm going to get a very light pink here. Angie, 84 and rain outside of Charlotte. Jonah, skies are finally clear. Good. It's really been nasty weather this April, hasn't it? Late March, early April. Okay, now, that's my lightest pink. And then we have a slightly darker pink underneath the mouth itself. So that's the bottom half of this. And then I'm going to come back with that lightest pink, and we'll go ahead and blend that in. And blend those edges so that they pretty much disappear. All right. Then I'm going to come down on the stomach Now I'm going to add this bow, so we'll see how much of that fur is going to show. So given that I'm going to use a light blue bow, we'll go ahead and make that blue. And then let's see what I got. I've got a nice light brown. And then using that same brown, I'm going to darken a little bit near the bottom of the stomach. This is why I keep telling you, don't pound your pencils into the paper. You want to leave yourself room to shade and shadow. So, same pencil, two different shades, completely different shades. So for those of you that are heavy-handed, I hope this drives this concept home to you. You've got to leave yourself room to do this kind of stuff. All right. Let me get my Elmer's glue. And again, this is a glue gel that I use. I really like it. Oh, let's see what we're doing here. Excuse me while I adjust a couple things with my lighting. And again, whenever you're putting something down like a bow or a button or whatever you're putting down, you want to color the area underneath a similar color. And that way, if your object doesn't completely cover everything, you've got it looking cohesive. Is that not cute? All right, I'm just adding a little bit of glue underneath the tail of the ribbon. Oh, that is ridiculously cute. Let me pull out. Now, obviously, just because I add doodads on my piece, you don't have to do the same thing. But you know that I always show you this extra stuff. The rhinestones, the little ribbons. But always, you've got to be tasteful with what you're doing. Okay. Now let's do our little checkered gift box here. So I've got a red water-based marker. And then I'm going to come in with a pink one. And we'll get those little areas in between those red dots. There's Grace. I was just going to start asking about you. Oh, Grace, no problem. All right. So actually, this is a little cloth that this box is sitting on. So let's go ahead and color up that gift box. And I'm going to use some purples. So if you're coloring along with me tonight, get yourself a light, medium, and dark purple. So here's my darker purple. And then my medium. And again, we want to make that edge between the two colors go away. And then my light. Well, Grace, the important thing is that you're here, no problem. All right. Now let's go ahead and do our lid. Oh, Sandy, okay. Thank you for letting me know. I hope everything's okay. There's our light purple here. Here's our dark. And then here's our medium. And we'll go back now that I'm seeing it clearly. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. We'll get the rest of this lid. And again, we'll blend away those edges. Okay. And then we'll come in with some blue. And yes, this is how much detail we put into this. I'm going to come in with a dark and medium blue. Okay, Tam, thank you. Here's my dark. Now, actually, I'm going to switch to my lightest blue. And the reason that I'm doing that, does anybody know why I'm doing that when the area calls for medium? I've talked about this before. Why am I using lighter blue when it calls for medium? Oh, come on. I know that somebody knows that answer. And the answer is because when you're in a confined area like this and you've got something small like this ribbon, if you put in medium blue, it's just going to tend to obliterate everything. Now, I'm also going to change up the way what the grayscale calls for. I'm going to take out that center purple and I'm going to close this off and make it look more like a ribbon, a flat ribbon. And we'll blend up those images. All right, let's try this again. We'll blend up the edges to make that more realistic. And then I'm going to do the same thing to my other two ribbon parts. And I think we've got a better looking spot. Now remember, I tell you this, guys, all the time. Don't be afraid to change things on your page. All right, let me pull out. Tam Tam, I did this with water-based marker, the red checker. And then, speaking of red, I'm going to come in with a light red. You're welcome. Glad to help. I'm going to come in with a light red and I'm going to tint up this rose a little more. Because right now, that rose looks dull as a box of rocks to me. Now, your first question may be, well, why didn't you do that earlier? And the answer is because as I started doing things around this rose was losing its place in the picture. So this is where you should have zero hesitation to make changes. Much better. Now, I feel the need to get my little frame out here. What's the most important part of your page? The part you're working on. That's right. And what that means is all your creative effort should be put into that. So that's why I'm working the details on my bear. So here's my little frame. You guys saw this before. I made this on the fly. And I'm acting like that part of that page is the whole picture. And I'm adding all the little extra stuff that I need to add and doing the extra detail to make that part of the picture look really good. And you need to take that to heart because your picture is the sum of all its parts. And if the parts look really good, boom, you've got it. Okay. Now we've got a little rainbow behind here. And I'm going to change this up a little bit. going to do the colors in silvers and yellows. Now, this yellow here is a little bit of goldish. It's actually a cadmium yellow by Castle Arts. And the reason that I'm not going with the conventional colors is because I've got this rose here. And if I were to do my Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, it would take away from the rose. And I want you guys to think about stuff like that. Now let me work in another shade of yellow here. And I'm going to put this on the edge. And then I'll put my silver in between. And then, but wait, there's more. Since rainbows are magical, let's see here. I'm going to take some orange rhinestones, of which I have very few. And pop those on there. And if you change your mind about where your little dots should go, just wipe out that little spot of glue like I just did. No biggie. Now, I also have a gold mix here. And it's really neat because the little rhinestones are basically holographic. And then I'm going to add a little bit of green. And I want you to notice that these colors that I'm adding are very light. And of course I would have two of these that are sticking together. But I mean, we're friends. All right, one more little green one. And we'll be in good shape. Actually, two. All right. How cute is that? You'll see it when I pull out. All right, let's take an overall look at this. So what do you think? I think we created a cute little mini picture on this. The only thing that I'm semi-annoyed by is it looks like my glue here is going to create a spot on my bow. I'll have to think of something to correct that. Actually, I already have. So here's another little teaching moment for you. When I glued down my bow there, it created a darker spot. So I'm going to take a little bit. Yeah, it's not going away. I'm going to take a little bit of gold glitter. And I'm going to decorate the bow with it. There's always something creative that you can do to correct a problem like that. Miss Stephanie, good night. Give me a second and I will show your picture. Oh, check it out. Isn't that beautiful? Looking good. Nice job, Stephanie. All right. Let me puff that bow a little bit. Now, if you add bows to your pieces like I did, this is a good example. It's beautiful stuff. Of how you can jazz up a bow by putting a little glitter on it. Thanks for sharing that. Very simple addition makes that look elegant. Now, I wasn't going to do this until later, but we have another area where we can highlight some gold in the glitter. We've got two areas on her dress that have gold on it. So there's our one spot of gold, which is our star. And then we have a gold pattern on our top. Now, it doesn't take much to embellish this, and in fact, you don't want a lot of thickness of the gold glitter because you want to be able to show that pattern. And look how cool that looks because I'm taking the time to follow the curvature of the pattern. Okay, I think we've got enough on there. And look how pretty that looks. Let me pull out. Okay. Now, I'm going to move over to the right-hand side and work on stuff over here. And that's basically for self-preservation because I know me. And if I work on anything on the top here or the hat or the little flags, I know I'm going to get my hand in my glitter that I put on the page. So I'm going to play it safe and work over here. Okay. Now I'm going to do something a little different with the leaves because I don't particularly wish to introduce more green into this. And if you'll remember when we did our lady, the side-by-side lady. Some of the greenery was done in actually browns and purples. So let me pop over here, and I'm going to come in with that same brown that I used earlier. Let me get another scrap page because I've got glitter piles on the other one. All right. So here's the brown and purple I'm going to use. And I think that you're going to see that it'll make for a really pretty mix. All right. Let me start up at the top here. Here's our purple. And here's our brown. And it makes for a beautiful color combo. Let me blend up that purple just a little bit more. Let's go to our next area. And let's blend that. Now that particular one, I put the brown in first, just to show you the difference. But what I recommend is you put your purple in first and blend with the brown. Isn't that beautiful? Purple first. And then our brown. Now, obviously, I'm using my purple as my darker color. So I'm going to come in with the majority of that being purple, and then I'm going to put my brown over on top of it. Isn't that beautiful? All right, let me pull out so you can start to see how this color arrangement is looking. All right. Now I'm going to add a few more of these brown and purple accents, and then I'm going to work on the roses. And then we'll add our brown. And notice how I'm blending in that purple with the brown. All right, let's get just a little more in here. Now, when you need to blend colors, it normally takes you working with the darker color to create that blend. All right, let's pull out and take a look. Guys, what do you think of the purple and brown? Now, the reason that this works is because we've got brown on this side with the teddy bear. We have our brownish red hair. And now I'm using the brown and the purple for accent around these flowers. And I'm willing to speculate that you probably thought that that wouldn't be a good color combo. But it actually is. All right. Now I'm going to take a break from my brown and my purple for a few minutes because I want to do up these flowers. And remember, guys, if you don't like something, you just say not my cup of tea. All right, bright yellow. on our little daisy here. And then my gold yellow as the complement and darker color to that yellow. Grace, have you thought of that purple and brown combo before? Okay, we got another flower like this. I'm going to come in with my darker color first, just to show you the difference of doing it that way. Grace, you've done green with red vines. Cool. Hello, my Linda. Okay. Let's do some more of these little daisy guys. We'll go ahead and add that brown first. And then our yellow. And then we've got some more of these little puppies down here. Our darker color first. And then our brighter yellow. Isn't that beautiful? My Linda. Hello, Janie. I was going to say something to you, my Linda, and the thought went away. Sorry about that. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to show you what we did earlier on this piece. I just wanted to catch you up. Oh, Janie, I'm so sorry about your shoulder bothering you. Janie, my Linda, check it out. Now, my Linda, the reason I ended up using glitter glue on my bow is because when I glued it down, it left a glue spot that you could see through the material. So I wanted to show a fix on that and how to take care of it. And I think it worked beautifully. Yeah, it did. It worked really well. Oh, you had rotor cuff surgery back in 2019, and sometimes it bothers you. Oh, okay, back to my right-hand side for a few more minutes, and then we need to change images. Here's a dark red. And actually, before I finish that, I'm going to go back with my yellow and my gold. I've got one more flower here that looks similar to these little daisies that we did. Now, it calls for the darker gold. Oh, you also slept on it wrong last night. We'll do the coloring on this image tomorrow. Excellent. So even though it calls for medium all the way through, I still want to blend in my lighter color. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. So here's my darker red. And then I'm going to come in with a light pink on my lightest areas. And then I'm going to come in with orange on my medium. Isn't that beautiful? Pink and orange are a great color combo. And then I'll come back in with my light pink and blend up that orange a little more. Janie, I'll comment on it tonight after the broadcast. Now, I'm going to come in with red, my dark, and I'm going to add a little bit of definition into that orange area. Check it out. Any questions about the way that I'm adding that in those internal swirls? Okay, let's pull out. Time to change pictures. Check it out. I think we done good. Any questions? Now, again, you know how I use that little picture frame? This is my sole area that I'm concentrating on. And you want to do the best possible job that you can. All right. Tam, good night. Have a great rest of the evening. This is Kirby Roseanne's Dark Fairy Tales. And as you guys know, I am working on Little Red Riding Hood, who is having a very tough day with the wolf. This book was donated to the group by Angry Bear. And it sure takes an interesting take on fairy tales. Miss Jonah, good night. And thank you for the feedback on it, guys. I'm glad you like it. Okay. So I'm going to continue with this tree right here that I'm working on that visually leads your eye into looking at the wolf and the center picture. Now, we've talked about that. That an artist, Angry Bear, you've been lurking, haven't you? Hold on, guys, I got to put a sweater on. Gotta love Tennessee weather. One day it's very warm, the next day, whoosh. All right, give me a second here. So, Angry Bear, how long have you been lurking? Okay, comfy sweater put on. Oh, about an hour and a half ago. Okay, so basically you saw all the things that I did with our little girl. Oh, you rewatched yesterday's broadcast. Sad to hear about Kathy and Thomas. Well, things happen. Kathy will be back in as soon as she can. All right. Yeah, Kathy was not looking good. But you know, when something like that happens and somebody comments on your face, you should say, and you should see the other guy. She'll be fine. I'm just glad that she got all the help that she needed. Okay. So last night I was working on our tree trunk. And it looks pretty gnarly, which is good. You know, the really good thing about that fall with Kathy is no broken bones. That would have been really difficult. She did say, though, that she did have a concussion. So, of course, the doctors are going to check into that. She really face planted when she fell. Yeah, and she said the worst part was being dizzy. That is not fun at all, losing your sense of, oh gosh, what's the word I want? Stability. And I hope that you guys sent her a little message that you were thinking about her and that we were all thinking about her. Messenger is great for stuff like that. She said they told her it could take 2 to 3 weeks to get over that, to feeling dizzy. Yeah. Carmen actually stopped in last night for a few minutes. Okay, I'm working in some of my lighter areas here. Guys, please make it a point when I update you with information like this about people that you contact them. And I know you've been doing that. That makes me feel so proud of this group. Okay, here's my light color. Now I'm going to come in with my medium. And I accidentally picked up my dark, but that's fine. Let me get back to my medium. And notice in the larger areas how I'm following the stroke that Kirby put in there. Isn't that beautiful? So, Angry Bear, how is this coming along for you? Or Angry Bear, don't let this intimidate you. All right, I'm still working with my medium pencil. Now, Angry Bear, can you see the value? Okay, Grace, thank you. Can you see the value of not pounding your pencils into the paper? And yes, it makes blending so much easier. Let the pencils do the work that they were intended to do. Excuse me, I slipped off camera. And what do I tell you? That if you want to shade a little darker, you do that with repeated strokes over the area that you're coloring. But if you come in heavy the first time, you take away that ability to shade and shadow while you're working a piece. Okay, now let's go back up to where this tree, using my medium, mingles in with the flowers. Let's see where we are here. Now, notice how I'm bringing the brown of the tree in between the flowers that are up against it. Okay. Isn't that beautiful? Now again, gnarly is the key here. Now I have a little bit of an area down here I missed. Small circles to give us a nice even coverage. And let's come down in between. Okay. Now use your judgment how far you want to bring your tree back into your flowers. And you want to make it look natural, that it's in between there. All right, then I'm going to come in with a little bit of my medium. And notice, okay, Grace, thank you. Notice how that medium color starts to give us a really nice depth, dimension, detail aspect. Now, I get it that this picture may not exactly be your cup of tea, but it's worth watching how it's done based on the coloring techniques. All right. And no detail is too small. Okay. Now let's go back up. And as you can see, we have quite a bit of dark areas, and it really makes this tree look, it's gnarly, it's somewhat hollow. Notice I'm just doing a finger blend on it. And now I'm going to come back with my Payne's Gray, and we're going to do some really neat things with it. Remember how I colored in the darker area of this background tree? You know how sometimes when you see the growth of a tree, it grows in layers like that. That's what makes it fun to look at. And again, our trees in the background are darker. Why? Because they're further away. Okay. We're going to start at the top of the tree. I'm using my Payne's Gray. And I want you to see how adding that shading into the tree like this really makes it pop. Now, the thing you've got to be careful of, what do I always tell you? No streaking. And Grace, you asked me if there was ever a time when you wouldn't blend two colors together, and this is a really good example of it. We have areas inside these elevated parts of the tree bark and by coloring that inside darker, that gives us that depth. Okay. Now, inside of these areas, however, where I'm coloring it darker, Grace, I'm still blending the edge of that dark edge with my brown. So inside of these gnarly areas, we're still blending the edges. And the key to doing this with the Payne's Gray, because Payne's Gray is such a powerful color, sorry for the adjustment, guys. I'm coming in very, very lightly. I'm skimming my Payne's Gray. Everybody see that? So my Payne's Gray on this outer edge here, or the left side, is blended into my lighter brown, and all of it is contained inside of this nodule of the tree. Okay. All right, let's work our way over a little bit. Now, don't get carried away with doing this with your Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray is like adding yeast to bread dough. A little goes a long way. All right, let's pop a little bit up into this area here. Any question? And notice how I'm using this Payne's Gray to edge this tree and to bring it up a little bit into the branch itself. Kirby didn't necessarily call for that when he drew this, so I'm adding it. And this is where your coloring is going to separate you, basically the men from the boys, when you add these little extra touches. Angry Bear, is that making sense? Grace, is that making sense? And look how this tree is coming alive because of the way that I'm shading and shadowing in it. Now check out this right here. By adding that extra right here by this top part, It immediately makes this whole top part more prominent. Now, see this black area right here? That's pretty harsh. We need to blend this in. Now, take a look at the pattern on your tree and decide where you can add that little extra darkened edge. And if you look at this tree here, see this line right here that goes across the top and then down? I'm choosing to shadow that. Make sure you understand this, guys. And then, of course, make sure that you don't go overboard with this. Let's see, we'll add a little more right here. All right. Let's see, we can add a sweep of shading here. And we'll bring that all the way down. Now, I'm going to override the sketching a little bit, and I'm going to add a dark edge to my tree all the way around and up. I'm overriding Kirby's lines to add that. Any question about this? And look how cool that's making this tree look. Now, I'm not going to carry this down. Oh, let me see here. We'll get a little bit of an edge here. But we've got this lighter part here going right to the edge. Okay. Now let me pop back up here. We've got a major hole in this tree. So here's my Payne's Gray and my dark brown. Okay. Then I'm going to bring a little bit of this dark, just a touch. Down the side of that little divot. I need to go back. I don't like how I blended this in. I've got to make that dark edge of that Payne's Gray disappear into the brown. Okay. Oh, let's see how far down I want to do this. Now, I'm going to work more on the edge right here. Going to come down a little bit here. And we'll blend that Payne's Gray into the back of where the wolf is. See how I just made that narrow line of Payne's Gray? And that lifted up these two edges. So that means edging with your Payne's Gray works out just as well. All right. Now, notice that I am using that Payne's Gray against the back of the wolf. And up that spine a little bit. And then I'm going to very lightly just bring up that Payne's Gray a little more. Butterfly kiss with the pencil. All right, let me pull out, let's look at the effect. Grace, good night. Grace, I'm on for another 20 minutes. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy Grace, sleepy Grace, purr, purr, purr. Now, when you look at it overall, this is where you can make other decisions about where you want to darken up your tree. Again, I'm overriding the lines that Kirby put in to some degree. And I don't want you to be afraid of doing that. Now, notice how this leads the eye up to the top of this tree. So I'm going to go ahead and enhance that. And I'm going to finish that arc with the Payne's Gray. Angry Bear, see how I'm doing that? Okay. Here's another dark area that I've decided to sketch in. But I only did that after looking at the overall tree. And again, perfectly okay to override now your initial coloring. I'm going to blend that light brown next to my gray line that I just put in. So when you do this, you can tweak not only with your Payne's Gray, but with your browns as well. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of dark area. We've got this middle light area here. So I'm just going to make that a little gnarlier. Not much. And a little bit of my darker color, my Payne's Gray, in this area right here. In between my brown. Now, Grace, don't get too fussy with your tree. Play with it and do the things that I'm doing, but don't, let's see how to state this. Don't feel like you have to shade and shadow every single little thing on the tree. In other words, don't overdo it. Okay. Now, one more area that I'm going to shadow a little more with Payne's Gray is this area underneath the greenery. And I'm just going to put a light tint of the Payne's Gray next to that greenery. And again, this is another reason why you don't come in like gangbusters with your pencils. And I think that Grace and Angry Bear are getting a good lesson in that. And yes, I know Grace is left. Now, if something doesn't make sense as I'm coloring this, ask. And I think I'm just going to lightly cover over this light brown. All right. Check it out. Angry Bear, just for giggles and laughs, send me a picture of your tree. I won't show it on camera. Or I can show it on camera. Isn't that beautiful? Now, while I'm thinking about it, I've been meaning to do this, and I keep forgetting. Hang with me, guys. Oh, Angry Bear, looking good. Check it out. And you can be intense with your colors on that tree. Oh, you're talking about the light where you took your picture? I like it. Okay. One little thing I've been meaning to do, and then I will call it an evening, is on the hilt of the knife, or the guard, I should say. Angry Bear, are you enjoying doing your tree and enjoying doing this picture? Look how cool that looks. And it's so subtle. It's just a little bit. A bling, which is enough just to make sure that that knife shows up. Now that didn't take long, did it? Okay. It's just enough of color to make sure that that knife doesn't get lost. Alright guys, here's where we are on Dark Fairy Tales by Kirby Roseanne's. And this is where we are on our Celebrating St. Patrick's Day Jubilee. The little girl's name is going to be Kelly. I'll add that on when I sign this. I think this is really looking as cute as a button, isn't it? Okay guys, this is ILene Vick for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. Guys, joyous, joyous coloring. Love on each other, that's what this group is known for. Thank you so much for hitting the like buttons. We got 3 more to go. If you could get me up to 20, I would be really happy. I'll see you, as I said, tomorrow night, same time, same place. Please share this broadcast so other people can enjoy coming in. We always seem to have a good time. All right. So let me get focused on our little bear here. I think he's as cute as a bug. All right, guys, till tomorrow night then. Bye.